Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Effortless. I am apparently your host today, Piddle. With me is Spigel. Spigel, how are you doing today?
All right, I don't know. We are lying in the rubble of the E3 aftermath, and this is
it
the
is
first show we've
wonderful.
done in like over half a month.
It
So
has been a while,
this is
hasn't
exciting.
it?
Yeah.
I know. I am so excited. Are we going to start with a little bit of question and answers, or
Yeah, we got the doctors are in today, Dr. Piddle and Spigel.
let me just put on my glasses and my
Okay.
my
I got my
gloves?
stethoscope. It's going. I'll put my little mask on. What does that mask do anyway? I don't like. Is it so you don't breathe in the germs, or is it so you don't like breathe out germs, or is it both?
In
I feel like you'd kind of
and
create
out.
like this little chamber. I feel like you'd create this little chamber in that mask with your own mouth, where you have like the germs like coming in and then out again, and they just like kind of breed in that little area. So think about that next time you put on one of those masks.
I don't really wear
Maybe
them
I'm
that
wrong.
often. I mean,
No, I know you
I
don't.
know
I'm
they're.
saying I'm talking to the doctors that listen to this show.
I wish I could. Sometimes I wish I had more things to accessorize with. Maybe that's something I can look into. Face masks.
So I was playing Fantasy Life, and I think I talked about this on the show, and I didn't like it, so ended up not counting it for my 52-52. And there's a lot of stuff that you can like put on in that game and wear, like items of clothing, and I maybe a doctor's mask is one of them. I don't know. Like that should be an accessory in more video games where you can accessorize your character.
Still need to play that game.
It's not that great.
Oh,
Don't worry
all
about
right,
it.
good. Then
I
cross
actually
it off.
this is I gotta talk about this early before I forget, but I've actually so we're doing the 52 games in 52 weeks thing, and I've actually tried out a number of games over the past few weeks, like more than the number that I've beaten,
Ooh.
and I ended up retiring a lot of them because they're just not that great. So I'm actually knocking out my backlog that way, of just not playing games that just aren't very good.
And
Okay,
that's not necessarily a
question
bad
time.
thing. I mean, we talked
No,
about
I don't
that
think so either.
the one episode that if
Yeah.
it's not good, don't deal with it.
Yeah, like why should I force myself to play a game that I don't like? That's just stupid.
So, we have one question today coming in from
Okay.
Rowan Kernigan.
Professor Rowan Kernigan.
Dr. Piddle and Spiegel. I was wondering what is the best virtual console or cheap eShop game. I'm having real trouble deciding what to play. I think Shovel Knight and Earthbound are in the lead right now.
Now, granted, since he posted this comment like 2 weeks ago, we've probably already answered his question. But just in case you bought something and then you beat it and then you're looking for something else to play, what do you think, Doctor? What's your prescription?
My prescription is, well, first of all, it's hard to give a prescription without knowing what your favorite types of games are, Rowan. But with that said, Shovel Knight, as I reviewed it, it was such a blast for me to play. I cannot. I mean, it was one of the few games in a long time that I could not put down, and that doesn't happen to me very often. I mean, I can think of some games like I think it was like the first Metroid game I played, Metroid Fusion. When I got that, I could not put that down. I think Metal Gear Solid 2, when I first played that, I could not put that down. Ocarina of Time, could not put that down. So, I mean, those are the games that Shovel Knight is in the same company as for me, personally. So, I would go with that. Earthbound, on the other hand, it's solid, but I feel like in some ways it's tough to get into. And
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
and so if you've got the time to sit down and play Earthbound, go for it. But otherwise, if you have Shovel Knight and you're leaning towards that, I would say go with that for sure.
Yeah, so my thing is that if you're deciding between Shovel Knight and Earthbound, like it's no question for me. I love Earthbound of what I've played of it. Haven't finished it yet, but I think Shovel Knight is the superior game for sure. It's one of the best games that was released last year. Period. So and it's up there with the game of the year type contenders. I think it should have not should have won, but it you know what I mean, right? It's up there.
Yeah.
So and it's
It
so
just can't
cheap
be
and
game
it's
of the year
so-
because it lacks that ambitiousness that games that win game of the year usually have.
it lacks that AAA status.
which is
well,
unfortunate.
you know what? That's actually an interesting conversation that we could have maybe a little bit later. But if you say, for example, you already bought Shovel Knight or whatever, you've already played it or something, I'm going to go with an obvious one, and it's A Link to the Past. I think everyone needs to play this game. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. I'm assuming you've played Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask already. So I'm just going to go and say A Link to the Past. Go play it if you have not played it. That is my prescription. It's like playing A Link to the Past is like if you have a headache, you take aspirin. If you like games, you play A Link to the Past. That's how it goes. So, how's that for a comparison?
Perfect. Love it.
All right, doctor. Good work today. Here's your check for $100,000.
Man, what I could do with $100,000.
Also, sign up for the Affordable Care Act, and you can get our services for cheaper.
If I had $100,000, it wouldn't be very difficult for me to donate more money to the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter.
Oh, here we go. That's an amazing segue right there.
Is that not a perfect segue?
So I'm gonna go ahead and just go out on the record and say that I'm not a fan of the. I think I've already said this, but I'm not a fan of the Kickstarter thing because not for this because Sony's this big company. What are they gonna do with $5 million? It's just a crowd-funded advertisement basically.
So
more than anything.
So here's the deal. Because it's been such a big concern with gaming news lately as to where the money is going from that Kickstarter, Yu Suzuki has actually come out and he said that nope, everything that you are donating to that Kickstarter is going to them. Yes, they did the presentation with Sony, and they have whatever other plan with Sony, and they have money coming in from Sony to help fund the game, and they have money coming in from other sources to help fund the game. But they also have the money from their Kickstarter that they're bringing in, and that money from the Kickstarter is going to allow them to do a little bit extra with the game. And that's why the Kickstarter awards, if you look at them, there are no rewards for I believe it's a physical or digital version of Shenmue 3 on the PlayStation 4. I can't remember which it is, whether it's digital or physical or both. But there's your reason. That's why one of the rewards is you get the digital PC version. I know for sure for $30, and it's because all that money in that Kickstarter is going to Yu Suzuki's company to make the game. So if you've been on the fence, please donate to Shenmue 3. I have not talked about this, but earlier episode I mentioned one of the games I was really looking forward to playing was Shenmue 2 during the 52 and 52. And unfortunately, my PAL Dreamcast copy of Shenmue 2, during one of the times that I moved, I lost a disc I lost 2 discs. And
the heartbreak.
Yes, I don't blame myself. I blame somebody else, actually.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. I take no responsibility for anything I do. So I planned to buy Shenmue 2 to replay it. I just planned to buy another PAL copy of Shenmue 2. And at the time I looked and the copies were selling on eBay for $100 to $150. And for me, that's a lot, but
how much can you get it for at GameStop now?
With
their new retro games thing.
But because it's in my top 10, I didn't worry about it too much. I wanted to play it again. To me, replaying it was worth that money. So, like any product, the value is what it's worth to the consumer. The issue is, now that they've announced Shenmue 3, I looked on eBay the day after it was announced, and there were 2 copies available. One, the bidding has just started, and it was at $200. The bidding was a little further along, and it was already over $250.
So you have waited too long, is what you're saying.
So, on one hand, I am so happy that Shenmue 3 is finally going to come out. I've been waiting for this. Shenmue 2 was the worst cliffhanger ending ever in a video game, probably. Even worse than Halo 2. I would say it's the equivalent of, I've used this analogy of, imagine that J.K. Rowling released the first 6 books of the Harry Potter series, and then said, you know what? I don't have the funds. My publisher's not giving me the money to write the 7th book, so I can't afford to do the 7th book. There's just no way for me to write the 7th book right now.
But if you give me money, I'll write the 7th book.
And then for the next like 15 years, you're just held in limbo, never knowing if like the Harry Potter series is going to ever end. And finally, J.K. Rowling comes around and says, hey, so I'm going to crowdfund my new book, but yeah, you need to pay me more money. Like, of course people are going to be plopping down like $10,000 for the very first edition that she wrote or something, which is essentially like the equivalent of...
You people with money, you guys are crazy. I wish I had money. I mean, then I could do crazy things like that. Like, what would I do with even, with even $1,000 more a month? I don't even know. Like, I don't know. And people were like, oh, if I won the lottery, I would do this and this and this. I'd be like, I don't know. I'd donate to Shenmue 3, I guess. Maybe. If I won millions of dollars.
So I'm gonna throw this out there. If you have never played Shenmue, and even if you have played Shenmue, the first Shenmue game, admittedly, as a game, wasn't very good. However, it did a great job of capturing the atmosphere. And they ran into a lot of issues with building the engine from the ground up. They don't have to do that this time. They get to use the Unreal 4 engine. They had to change platforms from like the Sega Saturn to the Dreamcast. It was like one of the first games of its time to like have full voice acting and a lot of things, and so much like motion capture technology. So they were pioneers in a lot of ways with the first Shenmue game, and that's a big reason why it cost so much. And it's also why it's a little rough around the edges in a lot of ways. If you ever played the second game, which few people did, especially the imported version where you didn't have to deal with the atrocious voice acting in the Xbox version of Shenmue 2, it was fantastic. The gameplay, they really tightened up. It was a really, really epic adventure. Still kept like the very distinct cultural aspects of the first game. So that's one of the coolest parts about the games. It's like you are exploring in China or Japan, and you're really getting a great feel of what these environments are like and these shady undergrounds that you're going through in order to seek revenge. So please, like, it's only $30 for the PC key to the game. Just donate it for Shenmue 3, even if you're just mildly interested, because the more that that gets donated, better the game's going to be. I think it's like 10 million that Yu Suzuki wants, but he figures if he gets 5 million, he's going to be able to do live up to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing with Kickstarter is it's totally reasonable to like donate, $30 or $50 and basically guarantee yourself a copy of the game, because it's effectively what pre-ordering is.
Yeah, it is.
So the only people that really don't donate to stuff like this are people who aren't interested like me, or just don't like pre-ordering games, which I don't know. I like pre-ordering because I don't know. There's this thing for me with pre-ordering that I just like doing it.
You like just knowing that you can pick it up the day and you don't have to worry about money or anything.
I don't have to worry about anything. Like I pre-buy everything, and it's like if it's bad, I just go to the store and I cancel my pre-order and I get all my money back. So it's like whatever. I mean, that won't happen with Shenmue because you can't just get your money back, can you? I don't know how that works.
No, but you get a game hopefully.
Okay.
Actually, I'm certain that the game will come out.
We're actually going to talk about something else, right?
Yes, we are. I believe we're 52 and 52.
52. Hey, I'm doing really well, by the way.
Yes, you make me feel like I am lazy, even though
You're
I'm
not
not
doing that bad either, though. Like, you remember at the beginning of this when I said, you know what? I'd be happy if I just beat like 5 games this year.
Yes.
I've beaten quite a few more than that, and you're also doing quite well.
So
we're in week. What is this? By the time you're listening to this, it's like week 12.
Yes. By the time
beginning of week 12,
we have finished week 11. And how far are you, Spiegel?
So obviously we haven't done an episode since like week 8 or whatever, but I have beaten 3 games, and I started another one, and we have a lot to talk about. I don't
Ooh.
know, since you only did 2, do you want to just like kind of go back and forth, or do you want me to just like kill all mine and then you can do yours?
Why don't you go with one of yours first? Does this put you at 11 games?
Okay.
Oh,
So we should have beaten 11 games by now,
yes.
in theory. So I have beaten 11 games, and I'm working on my 12th.
Congratulations.
So my ninth game was Yoshi's Island. I played it I played it on Game Boy Advance, but it's the Super Nintendo one. Yeah, it was. It's a platformer. It was this quote unquote sequel to Super Mario World, but it was really just an excuse for them to introduce ideas that they had with Yoshi in that game into like
Yes.
a brand new series. And obviously, Yoshi's become its own franchise since then. They're going to have a Wii U game this year that looks spectacular. Yoshi's Woolly World is one of my most anticipated games of this year, and that's mostly due to the fact that Yoshi's Island was so freaking good, and how like similar the two games look. Yoshi's Island was really good. It was a really good platformer, very solid, lots of great mechanics and levels, new ideas introduced like every single level, which Nintendo was great at. And this is just another shining example of why they're one of the best developers out there. It's just it's bursting with personality and great ideas.
I'll admit it has a lot of ideas, a lot of personality, and for some reason I just could not get into it. I don't know why.
It's probably because you're a huge Super Mario World fan.
I am a huge Mario
Like,
fan, and
I love that
I
game,
have to
but,
admit,
it's
I look at the Super Nintendo and there's Yoshi's Island, and then like I look at the Genesis and I'm like, well, this is why I like the Genesis better because. Sorry, Nintendo fans.
Wait, you like the Sega Genesis better than the Super Nintendo?
Well, it had Sonic the Hedgehog 2,
Oh my
Sonic the
gosh,
Hedgehog
overrated.
3, and Sonic and Knuckles, and there was one traditional Mario game on the Super Nintendo.
Okay, fine.
It doesn't make sense.
But,
Like
but
I'll
Yoshi's
even say
Yoshi's
myself.
Island is really good.
I'll even say it myself. Like the Super Nintendo easily has a more diverse library of higher quality games.
It has Super Metroid and A Link to the Past and
Super
Mario World.
Yeah, Super Metroid,
like
Link
those
to the
three
Past,
games.
Super Mario World. They're all like top 50 games of mine, and then there's Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy
Earthbound
3 and Earthbound,
Final
and
Fantasy.
a lot of other games, Donkey Kong Countries. Yeah, and I still have better memories when it comes to my Genesis.
I don't even understand how like there's an argument that can still be had at this point. Like, whatever.
I don't know. I almost just went against my own argument. If anybody's wondering what that noise is, that is my son counting.
Is he counting the number of games that the Super Nintendo has compared to the Genesis?
Oh, how many more games? Yeah.
So Yoshi's Island. I definitely recommend it. I don't know if would you give it your personal recommendation, even though you say you couldn't get into it. Like, would you say it's a game that is worth playing?
Oh man, I don't know, because for me it was like, man, whenever Baby Mario started to cry,
That was bad. That was bad.
really, really bad.
But play better. That's basically what the game is telling you. Just play better.
Yeah.
So yeah, Yoshi's Island. I'm ready to give it my score. I would say that it is a 4.5 out of 5. Giving it a straight 4.5. Not perfect because
Pretty
there were
nice
some
score.
things that were frustrating, but overall, I'd say it was a very, very, very good game, and I'd recommend it to anybody. It's on the Wii U eShop as the Game Boy Advance version, because for some reason the Super Nintendo version is like they don't have the rights to it or something. I don't really know how that works, but yeah, high recommendation from me.
First game that I beat was on the Vita. It's a little indie title called.
You've played more Vita games than I even knew existed for this 52. I'm not gonna lie.
It is also available on other platforms, so take that
Yes.
for what you will. It's pretty much. I look at the Vita as like my little indie machine, and
I mean, you have to use it for something.
because it's just like those indie titles are smaller, and I don't know, it
That
sort of works
that
that way.
and Danganronpa.
Yep, which you still want to play.
I do.
But I played Thomas Was Alone, which is very interesting kind of puzzle game that tries to sort of tell a story through a narrator with a lovely British accent, by the way. And you're just guiding a bunch of squares and rectangles through levels, and these squares and rectangles can jump. So like the graphics are very, very minimalistic.
It's kind of like Box Boy, but with an actual story.
Yes. It's just like solid colored blocks, literally solid colored blocks, and trying to avoid spikes and jumping up onto ledges and jumping using like there's multiple boxes or that work together to get through the levels, and each box has its own name. And so like the narrator like talks about what the boxes are thinking as they're going through these levels. And how they like start to value teamwork, and how some boxes can jump higher than others and other boxes can hardly jump at all. One box acts like a trampoline, and
White box can't jump.
another box.
That's a dumb joke. I'm sorry.
Another box is just like really tall, and can jump a little higher. And like there's one huge box that is able to float and carry other boxes on top of it, and one box that like gravity works in reverse for it. So it just sort of like combines all those boxes together, and like you might have to do like.
So this is real quick. This is a puzzle platformer,
yes,
right?
It's like a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, but I've never actually like really looked into it. Even though I heard it's really good.
It's not that long, and to be honest, for me it didn't do much of anything. I sort of had to force myself to sit down and play through it. I figured like it's a short game. I can just like push through this, and that's sort of what I did. The story didn't do much for me. I didn't know if it was supposed to or not. I don't know. I just
not a good sign when you play a short game and you're like, I have to play this.
And
like
the puzzles were just, they didn't really feel like puzzles. It was more just very straightforward, and I never really felt like I had to think outside of the box. No pun. No, yeah, no pun intended. So if I had to give it a review or score, I guess I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, it wasn't the.
How much did it cost again?
I believe I got it on sale for like $4. So it's not much. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yeah, you didn't waste anything.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'll say that, and I could definitely see how some people would like really get a kick out of it. Some of the narration I did enjoy, but the majority of
was it like funny, or was it like just like trying to be serious?
It was sort of. It sort of like poked fun, like seriously poked fun of like the situations that these boxes found themselves in. Like one box, or talking about one box like it was evil and had its own plans of grandeur, and another box that was all lonely and realized, oh wait, like my job is to help everybody else. And
whoa, spoilers.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of those indie type games have been trying to be like that, to go that extra mile and like be kind of charming in a simple way. Like ever since Portal, really.
Yeah.
I think they've been trying to do that.
It's really trying to pull that off and have that little bit of charm. And for some people, yeah, it probably does. But for me, I just couldn't get past how sort of simple the gameplay was. And I know it was sort of like designed to be simple, but I thought it would be like simple yet like at points I'd be like, what am I supposed to do here? But I was never really had those problems.
You never really got challenged by it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I never got challenged by it, and yeah, I just couldn't get emotionally invested in a bunch of little boxes.
So speaking of Portal and its effect on indie games, that was actually my next game, which is kind of why I brought it up. But so I played Portal, which was a lot of people have been wanting me to play it, right? And I kept saying, I don't have a gaming mouse. I don't have a gaming mouse. I don't want to play a PC game right now. But people are like, you have to play Portal. So I played Portal. And it was a big mistake to play without a gaming mouse, honestly. Because I could see all the elements that were there, and I could see how enjoyable it would have been And it's so hard to review a game that you didn't enjoy because of the circumstance that you put yourself in. Because as a game that has been designed, Portal was excellent. The pacing was very, very good. Once you got out of I guess I can spoil it a little bit. Once you got out of the chambers, the 19 chambers, the game became incredible. And even for someone like me who wasn't enjoying the controls because I brought it upon myself, that section was one of the best, most memorable sections of any game I've ever played.
So you do realize that I think there's a way to get a controller to work with Portal.
I know that now, and I know all this. I know all this stuff now. But honestly, it's soured my experience, and I probably shouldn't have let it. I probably shouldn't have gone on, and I'm probably going to get mega criticized from everyone who listens to this show, and maybe even you. I'm going to give the game a 4.5 out of 5, not for my control issues, but for the fact that it was very short, and even at its most challenging, was not extraordinarily challenging, and it didn't do anything particularly special for me, probably because back when it came out in like 2008 or something, it was like really this special and unique thing. But so many indie games have captured that magic since then. It hasn't aged maybe as well as it could have. So those are my reasons for giving it a 4.5. But
4.5 is still a pretty high score.
At the same time, it's still a high score, and it's still an excellent little game, and it's very cheap. It is very short. I beat it in under 2 hours. So, I mean, there you go.
Your complaint is pretty common. A lot of people said that it was just too short.
I just wanted more, because it was so good.
Yeah.
I wanted more.
And I think that's sort of what it was. Is a lot of people were just like, it was so short, and they wanted more, and they didn't.
I mean, that's why there's Portal 2, right? I'm gonna play that when I get a mouse. I'm not gonna make that mistake. No more PC games without a mouse, unless it's my next game.
And then I'm trying to think of what other issues Portal had. The big thing with Portal was, the design is excellent. Everything builds on itself. They introduce a brand new, very confusing concept very, very slowly and deliberately. And if you ever play through it again and listen to all the director commentaries or developer commentaries, it's really interesting to listen to the developer commentaries and explain their thought process as they were going through the game and creating each little level.
Yeah.
So if you ever play through it again, I would suggest that. But it also had what did you think of all the how it presented some of the story aspects without saying anything?
I love that type of storytelling, and we've been over that. I can't believe I didn't even mention it, to be honest with you, because throughout the game you'd see images of the how Aperture is competing with I can't remember the name of the Black Mesa, I think it was, the other kind of company. And my favorite game ever is Metroid Prime, which the storytelling is all underneath the surface. So I love stuff like that. I was really into it. And that was one of the little nice, charming aspects about the game that I loved. I can't believe I didn't even mention it, to be honest with you.
And if you weren't aware, I believe they call the person who leaves all the messages the Rat Man.
I didn't know about that, but it was interesting to find all that stuff. And yeah, it's kind of cheesy after hearing the cake is a lie for 8 years, but it's still cool to kind of see it for the first time in person. So Portal is the definition of a bucket list game, because it is isn't it an indie game technically?
It is, I believe.
I have this temptation to call every short game as an indie game.
I believe it originally started as a project by students at a university, I believe. I can't remember. And
that qualifies
sort
to
of
me.
Valve sort of liked the idea so much that they took it.
Yeah, so I think that qualifies. I'm going to call it an indie game. As an indie game, it is one you absolutely must play.
It's an indie game with a Valve touch.
As a first-person shooter, it is probably one of the most important ones ever made.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Is it going on the bucket?
We have it on the bucket list. Spoiler. It's on the bucket list.
All right. So, my turn next, I believe.
Yep. This is one you are playing right now. Is that correct?
So,
your 8th game?
Yep. Unfortunately, this is my hopefully 8th game that I will finish before the week is up. because I don't want to get too far behind. And it's a game that I've actually really gotten into. I couldn't even believe it was this. I told you I couldn't believe how old it was. But that is Civilization 5, or Sid Meier's Civilization 5, for the PC. And I had always heard about Civilization, but I had once tried a demo, and I guess at the time I wasn't prepared to sit down and give it a fair shot. And so when I recently tried or bought it, I bought it during one of the Steam sales and got a really good deal on it. And I figured
That Steam sale, by the way,
Yeah.
has given so good.
I figured why not? And it actually wasn't a part of the summer sale. It was a part of one of their sales like a month or two ago. But I got like all the downloadable content and everything for I think $12, and I figured, why not? The reviews for it are so positive. I may as well just give it a fair shake. And what I found was pretty much a single player strategy game that reminds me a lot of, if you've ever played any board games like Risk
Yeah, Risk is awesome.
or Settlers of Catan or Axis and Allies. Those like big like strategy board games where you're rolling dice and or collecting resources and whatnot and trying to expand your empire and like militarily defeat your foes. It reminds me of that, like just in video game form and with so many more layers than those board games that could ever offer. And it's been, I'm completely hooked. I mean, I could say like pretty much what's happening right now is I'm with the Korean Empire and I am just entering the industrialization age. Like you try to constantly advance your technology and go through the different ages.
So how do you beat this game?
So like I went through the medieval era and the Renaissance era, and now I'm in the industrialization age. And I just obtained the ability to spy on my enemies. So I have 2 spies right now that I sent, one to Mongolia because Mongolia has been very a thorn in my side, and another spy to
They're being jerks.
another spy to the Incans who are actually my allies when I defeated Augustus Caesar. So it's just like has like, I feel like I have like cool little stories where I can say like, I joined up with the Incas, and Augustus Caesar, or the Incas approached me and said, Caesar sucks. We hate him. Will you help us like declare war on him?
That does sound really cool.
And I'm like,
I
have like the option of, okay, doing it right away, or give me like 10 turns and give me a little time to prepare. I was like, give me a little time to prepare because I didn't have my army built up. I had spent like the entire beginning of the game just trying to build my economy up. So for the next 10 turns, I buy just like a bunch of military units that are like like pretty proficient in terms of technology, and then like line them up right on the front. And then as soon as the Incans go, the time is nigh, are you ready? I'm just like, yep, let's do this. And just
don't you just love games like so much? Like they just let you do whatever you want. Like there's a game for everybody.
Yes, pretty much.
Like you can do whatever you want in games, and it's fantastic.
So yeah,
I love it.
I steamrolled over Augustus Caesar, and
take that, Caesar.
And the one thing that bothered me is he had 3 cities at the time, and I took down 2, and I started to damage the 3rd, and then the Incans swept in and destroyed the 3rd city before I could take it, and so they annexed the city and made it their city. So now I'm a little salty, and I have an open.
This is what America does.
I know, I'm a little salty, and I have this little open borders arrangement with the Incans, and so my next plan when I get back to the game is to, just start moving all my military into their borders, and then.
Wow, what an a-hole.
And then surprise.
That's great.
So
that is fantastic.
So yeah, that is sort of.
I'm gonna have to check this out. I've never played Civ before, but I hear so many things about it, and you may have just sold me on a game, my friend.
It took me a while to get into, and like the deeper I get into it, it's just like, oh my gosh, there's so much to this, because like I'm spying on my enemies, I'm like trying to research new technologies, I mean, I'm pretty sure soon I'm going to have the atom bomb coming up since I've entered the industrialization age. I've got you can like adapt like pick certain social policies. So like one of my social policies is based on like freedom and exploration, sort of like America.
America. Yeah.
Great, great censor.
Thank you. That was self-censored.
So yeah, it's just been a really interesting game, and again, like the closest comparison I can make is to those like board games, Risk and Axis and Allies and Settlers of Catan, and say it's a lot like those games, just a lot more in depth.
That sounds excellent. I can't wait for your full score. Hopefully next week. Yeah. Teaser.
I am hoping so. I'm going to consider the game beat once I get through a full age with the Republic of Korea.
Okay.
So, or the Korean Empire. I think it's called the Korean Empire. So once I get through it, I'm gonna consider myself the game beaten, and I'm sure it's a game I'm gonna want to come back to at some
You'll
point.
probably go back to
Yes.
it like I'm doing with Splatoon, even though I consider it beaten. You know, I'm playing Splatoon all the time.
But it's been pretty nice, and I have to warn you, it is a game where I'll sit down and I'll plan to only play for like an hour, and that just it does not happen.
Yeah.
One,
I mean, I hate games like that, but I also love them because,
yeah.
you know.
All right, your next game.
Okay, so I was on a little bit of a PC game kick because I was like, you know what, I just beat Portal. I'm sitting here at my computer. I'm just going to play the next one that I was really excited for this one because I loved the style. I loved everything I had seen. It was really intriguing to me. And I played Grim Fandango Remastered. Came out just this year in January. It is one of the greatest point-and-click games of all time, period. It is so good. But there are a lot of problems. And I was able to look past them because the game itself was so phenomenal. But if you do not like point-and-click games, don't even bother. Because you have to put up with so much of the annoying, like, 1990s point-and-click tropes that we're just not used to today.
I love those tropes.
I know you do.
Yeah.
But, like, because you love Secret of Monkey Island and all that stuff. And have you played Grim Fandango?
I have not.
Okay,
I've heard
well,
so much about it, and
it's so good.
And
You
guess
need to
what?
buy it.
Guess what? Grim Fandango Remastered is on the PlayStation Vita. So, bam,
Boom! There's your game.
there's
your
my
next
Vita game.
Yeah,
I
would
feel-
definitely recommend it.
I'm definitely like one of those people. Like every chance I can get to justify my Vita purchase, I like take.
I don't blame you at all. And yet you are the same person who will not buy anything for your Xbox One just because you're pissed off at it. That's great.
Yes.
So anyway, basically it's a LucasArts game, came out in '98. It chronicles Manny Calavera's 4-year journey across the land of the dead. This is a game that is heavily inspired by the Mexican Day of the Dead holiday. You know, you see all those like painted skulls and stuff like that. They're all over this game, and it's really an intriguing art style, and it actually works really well. Even today, like you see the remastered version, you compare it to the original, not that much of a difference, and it's because the art direction of the original game was so good, and that the graphical style, even though it looks a little weird, it still holds up today.
Very nice.
And that's really impressive. And like I said, it is a point-and-click game, and it is a very vague one at that. Like I saw a review that I think summed it up perfectly. You have to be on some sort of like mystical mind meld with the game's creator to like understand what they want you to do sometimes. And I will admit, I did use a guide for a couple parts of this game because it did get really frustrating going from place to place and just not knowing what to do, like at all. And there will be moments in this game where you don't know what to do. And sometimes that can be a little frustrating. And sometimes I even had to like walk away from it and just be like, can't do it right now. I need to like think about something else, and maybe I'll have a new perspective on it when I come back. And that actually worked a number of times. But it's one of those point and click games where it's like, go here and combine random item with random item, and you'll figure it out.
So you're saying
ultimately that's what it comes down to. But
the
I
item
should talk about
combinations don't make sense.
Sometimes they don't make sense.
Aw.
Or they don't make sense on the surface. Like once you like I said, they make sense when you think about it, but you have to be thinking about it before you can combine the items. So it's it's like a paradox almost.
Got it.
Or a catch
Yeah.
22. But the game is really funny, and it's got this crazy personality, and it's like it's so unique. The number one word I can use for it is just unique, and it's one of the most unique games I've played this year. And I'd recommend it to anybody who's interested in point and click games, or anybody who just likes or has a good sense of humor, and just likes stuff like that.
What kind of review are you going to give it? A score?
So of the 3 games that I have brought up so far, it is my favorite of the 3, but it is also going to get a 4.5 out of 5 because I can't go in between a 4.5 and a 5, but it's not a 5 because it's not perfect because of those reasons that I already said. So, but it is an amazing game, highly recommended.
Excellent.
So I had a very good couple weeks with games. By the way, how bizarre is it that we just done an hour show that came the week after E3 and we've not even mentioned E3? Isn't that weird?
No clue.
Because we spent the entire week just doing E3, 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 but now there's like nothing. So now we're back to being regular old ZBN. Your favorite thing of E3, your game of the show. I never got to ask you.
You know, I have to say, like, it's weird. Mario Maker, it's everything. It's really what I've wanted from Mario for a long time almost. Mario Maker, I feel like it's perfect for me. Like, I'm such a huge platformer fan. I love that it has all the different kinds of Mario physics from the various games in it.
Yeah, I love that too.
I was really concerned about that when the game first was shown. I thought it was just going to be like the original Mario physics, and I was like, because the original Mario's physics,
not that good.
I don't like them. they're like more
I'll agree
accurate in
with
terms
that.
of like momentum, but overall, I'm not the greatest fan.
So is Super Mario Maker your game of the show as well?
Yes. Well, hold on. What other games would there have been for a game of the show?
So I would say Unravel, definitely I want to see more of. In the same capacity, I want to see more of Yoshi's Woolly World, which is a game that's super impressive to me. Probably because I was playing Yoshi's Island during E3, I paid a little more attention to it, but I definitely want to see more. Zelda U, I want to see more of, obviously, because we didn't see any of it. Even though they said they had footage, they couldn't show it because they're like, oh, we're only focusing on the next 3 months, so you don't get to see any of that.
Yeah.
Freaking stupid. It's freaking stupid. But I don't want to talk about that.
I'm
right
really
now.
disappointed that they did not show more Zelda.
But then they also showed Star Fox, which I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. For me, what I really want to see more of is that pirate MMO that Rare is apparently developing. I really want to see more.
I remember that.
Sea of Thieves, I believe it's called.
Yeah, I want to see more Recore too, by the way, speaking of Microsoft stuff.
But, yeah, Recore with the made by the developers of Metroid Prime. Some of the developers, at least.
People were criticizing me for that on the other day. They were like, just because it's the makers of Metroid Prime doesn't mean it's going to be a good game. And I'm like, well, doesn't that carry a little bit of weight for you? I mean, we didn't see anything. Like, we didn't see any actual gameplay. So all we have to be excited about is a concept and who's making the game.
Well,
so
if you ask me, it's where the talent is. Where's the talent? Because where the talent is, that's where you're going to get the quality. It's not like you say, and excuse me for the sports analogy,
the sports.
DEG. DEG.
He was so mad. Like, I don't want to listen to stupid sports. I'm like, well, that's why I put an annotation in the last episode, you idiot.
So, I'm sorry, DEG, but the sports analogy would be like if LeBron James leaves Cleveland, are you still going to go buy the Cleveland product? Because clearly nobody bought the Cleveland product once LeBron left. And then they started buying it again when he came back. So, yeah, you want...
I can't remember what you're comparing it to.
Just like video game developers. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
Like, why wouldn't that hold weight that it's made by like some of the creative directors of Metroid Prime? I mean, it's sort of...
Metroid Prime, the greatest game of all time.
It's sort of like the same reason why Titanfall, even though Titanfall didn't last very long in terms of community. I mean, there's still a pretty solid community there, but it was made by the guys who directed Call of Duty 4. So...
Yeah, I mean, so it's not surprising.
Yeah.
But anyway, you had a very strong opinion on Star Fox, which I brought up a minute ago, and then we had a technical difficulty, and you didn't hear me bring it up. Is that right?
I am happy yet not happy. Is that an easy way of putting it?
Well, no, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like, yay, it's great they're making another Star Fox game, but I'm not convinced it's going to be good. Like, everything they've said and everything I've seen is, like, underwhelming. Like, no online. No... Okay, first of all, no online. What? Like, wait, what? I don't even get it. I don't even... Like, that's unacceptable.
See, for me, that I don't even care about that. For me, it's all about the single player and how good the single player is. But
okay, that's fine. But then you have no branching paths.
for the longest time, like, I want another Star Fox, like Star Fox 64, that has branching paths, that has, like, difficult ways of finding all the secrets in the games and getting all the medals. And, like, Star Fox 64 at the time, it looked amazing. Like, the graphics.
And this game does not look amazing.
Yeah, and that's something that I always figured would be a part of, like, a new Star Fox. I was like, I don't understand
the visuals.
Yeah, I don't understand why Nintendo's not making new Star Foxes, because it's, like, the easiest way to pump out a game with amazing visuals. Is
I'd also like to say that Star Fox Adventures was one of the best looking games on GameCube.
It looked fantastic, and Assault looked pretty good too at times.
It was okay. I didn't really like the art direction, but apart from that, it looked good.
It looks pretty good during the single player, like, straightforward campaigns.
Yeah.
The more open areas, it looked pretty bad.
Not as good.
Yeah, but
Aperoids.
but like I figure, like, you have an on-rails game, and usually on-rails games, you can really churn up the graphics, because you can fit more on the screen. You don't have to render what's behind you. You don't have to you only have to render so much of what's in front of the character.
Exactly.
And here we have this new Star Fox game coming out, and the visual is just really underwhelmed because it's Platinum Games, and they want to make it 60 frames per second on not just both the TV screen, but also on the gamepad.
But Bayonetta looked so great. That game had fantastic art direction, and it looked incredible, and it ran at 60 frames per second. So
yeah, but it wasn't rendering two different images on.
Okay, well, that's fair.
And that's the issue with Star Fox, is it's like, take Bayonetta and imagine, like, that they had to cut in half what they could do on the screen in Bayonetta, and that's essentially what they're trying to do with Star Fox or Star Fox Zero. So
still makes me sad.
It's really disappointing.
Because Star Fox is supposed to be their big holiday game, right? I mean, what else do they have? Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival and, Mario Tennis Ultra. I can't see I can't see the screen because your character's too big, and it underwhelmed. Like, not gonna lie, I thought it was underwhelming, and I know Chris says it's his favorite game of all time already, but I'm not there yet. So, anyway. I hate to end the show on such a sour note, but oh well.
It's Nintendo. I think the gameplay will still be amazing, and it's Nintendo / Platinum, so I think the gameplay is going to end up being really intense and exciting and everything. But I'm probably constantly going to look at the game and just be like, man, this could look so much better, or I could stand to have all my branching paths. So I think that's about it, Spiegel. I can't wait to hear what kind of music we have for this episode. If you like this video, please, again, comment. Please comment. We want your questions. We want to know how you guys are doing on your own 52 out of 52. I mean, it doesn't help that I just bought 19 games on a Steam sale.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with you?
But
you are so good.
But all right. So for Spiegel, I'm Piddle. Thanks for listening to Effortless.
Show's over, people.
Peace.
Last night, lying in bed, I woke up from something